Okay, so we are doing what's called piecewise functions, and it is worksheet 1.3, number 2, 1.3.2. So I'm just going to, unfortunately I started the recording a bit late, but I'm going to walk you through a couple problems here. Number 1, this is two functions. On between 0 and 4, it's going to be this function, and between 4 and 9, it's going to be that function. All right, so the first thing I encourage you to do on a problem like this is to put in your borders between the functions. Would you agree that 4 is going to be a kind of a disputed border between the two? That is going to run right down the middle between the two functions. Another place is 0 is mentioned over here in the domain, so I'm going to have a dotted line running down here at 0. And lastly, I don't know where that went. What? Pause for. Okay, got my technical issues solved. So now, in between 0 here and 4 here, do you get we're putting that function right in there? Now, we've been doing such complicated functions for so long that you probably have forgotten how to graph a simple one. Do you get that this is really right here, y equals negative 1/2 x plus 6, which is touching at 6 on the y-axis, and it has a slope of negative 1/2. Does that ring a bell? It's called slope-intercept form. So I'm going to graph that function here. I'm going to make it touch at 6 and then have a slope of negative 1/2. That means instead of rise 1, it's fall 1, and then go over 2. Fall 1, go over 2. There we go. There's my function that's between 0 and 4. Now you got to watch out on the borders, because the way I drew that, it owns both 0 and 4. Well, it does. Look at the equation here. It's got or equal to's on both, so it does own both of those spots at 0 and 4. Okay, so now I'm going to graph the other one, which goes between 4 and 9. So we need another border fence here at 9. So in this little zone here, between here and here, we have to graph that function. Well, it's a V shape and it's flipped upside down and all that. Honestly, you can have two choices on this. You can graph the parent and then move it 6 to the right and flip it and then move it up 10. Pain in the neck. Or you can remember, the method I told you would always work for any function ever. You can always make a what? Come on, somebody pull this out. XY chart. You can always make an XY chart for one of these. So I'm going to take this guy and make an XY chart for it. So let's find some points that are on this function. What points should I put in? Just random things? No. I got to graph it in this zone right here, right? So what are my x values I should put in? Well, basically between 5 and 10. So carefully erase that now. I'm going to put in x's between 5 and 10. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I suppose I could do them all. But I might get the idea once I get it started. All right? If I put in 5 into this function right here, I go 5 minus 6 is negative 1. Absolute value of negative 1 is 1. Then I make it negative again for that negative, so it's negative 1 plus 10, which makes 9. So 5 comma 9. Now, if I go 5 comma 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I avoided a border dispute with this guy because I haven't tried to do 4 yet. All right, now I'm going to put in 6. I put in a 6 here. 6 minus 6 is 0. Negative 0 is just 0 plus 10 is 10. 6, 10. Over 6, up 10. It looks like it's going to go off the graph, but it's not going to because we planned this ahead. Now I'm putting in 7. 7 minus 6 is 1. Absolute value is 1. Make it negative. Negative 1 plus 10 is 9. It's coming back down again. Do you see how we got the peak of the V? So you know this is an upside down V shape, right? Because you just should know what they look like. So then I can go like this. I can go, okay, I'm going to complete this V. Go like that. And yay, I just made the mistake I warned you guys about. Do you see how easy that would be? Because right now, it no longer is a function because it won't pass the vertical line test. So at this spot, right here, they both think they own the 4. Which one really owns the 4? You look back, you see this one only has a less than. It doesn't have an or equal to. This one does. That blue function owns that spot. This should have been an empty circle right there. So you make an empty circle instead of a closed-in dot for the green one. And there's my Franken function. Okay, I had you skip 2 on the worksheet, so we're going to jump now and go down to number 3. I'm going to clear off the ink, and let's go to number 3. There's number 3. Oh, sorry, having technical issues still. There we go. Good. Okay, I'm putting in the borders right away. The borders here appear to be at -2 and 3. Now, logically then, one function's probably in here, one function's probably in here, and one function's probably in that zone. All right, so let's take this function first. A lot of people get confused by that. You agree that f of x is the same as y, right? So it's really just y equals -2 is the function. Think about what that looks like. Y equals -2. Picture it in your head. Here's where y is -2. It's right there. Now it's either a vertical line through that or a horizontal line through that. And I hope you know it's a horizontal line through that. Now what's the problem with what I just did though? It's going outside the zone to cross the borders and stuff. So which zone is it good in? It's only good where x is less than -2. So it's really only good in this zone up to here. And it doesn't work past that. I can't work in there or over there. Okay. Does it own that border? No, it does not. Look, it doesn't have an or equal to sign on it. It does not own -2. It needs to be an empty spot there. Okay, now in this next little zone, if it gets tough, make an XY chart. But I happen to know this one. This one should be in your safety zone. You should know absolute value. It looks kind of like this. But again, I got to be careful on the borders. I'm going to just say it owns both of them, and I'm going to look back and see. It owns the -2, does not own that 3. So I better go back here and put an empty spot there. Okay, now for our third trick, we take this little function and do him in this zone. Only be after 3. So for this kind, I would definitely make an XY chart, and I would stick in some numbers that are going to work for us. Okay, back with you. So I got to graph this function here. I'm using this XY chart right here, and I'm going to pick numbers that are 3 or bigger. So I'm going to pick like 3, 4, 5, 6, 10. Let's see what happens. When I put in a 3 goes into -1/2 x, and I'm going to just make an empty spot for the x, right? And I'm going to drop in 3 there. That would make -3/2. Don't be afraid of improper fractions like that. That just means half of -3, so it's -1/2. So 3 goes with -1/2. There's my spot right there. Now notice there was an empty spot way above that where a red function thought it might own 3, but really it's going to be this spot right here. Okay, now I'm going to put in a 4. The 4 now is going into this function, and so I get a 4 right here. Half of 4 is 2, make it -2. 4 -2. Appears to be going down. I'm going to try another one like a little bit bigger, like 6. Put a 6 in that function, and I got half of 6. Half of the 6 makes 3, and then I make it -3. I'm going to go to 6, -3. Look at that. They're all in a straight line. I think I can trust now to just go like this. There we go. Does it say to stop? No. It just says bigger than 3, which implies it goes forever. So I'm going to put an arrow on the end of it there. Now, most people get them right, except for their borders, so watch out. We have our borders good here and good here. Only one of our functions owns each border. So, Okay? You're skipping 2, 4, and 6, which implies you're doing the rest of them. So we've done 1 and 3, which pretty much means you have to do 4, not 5. No, wait. 2, 4, and 6, not 4. So we're going to do 5, and then 7, 8, and 9. So really, I'm only leaving you with 5, 7, 8, and 9, which would be 4 questions. Very reasonable. Okay? Kind of a shortish lesson for today, but we even had some review in there before the video started. And we'll be doing a full review on Monday because what happens on Tuesday? A test on graphing, just like this. They are generally the easiest category of pre-calc tests. So generally, I wouldn't stress about it too much, but we'll definitely want your full attention on Monday, and then Monday night you're going to want to study so that Tuesday you can come through with a good score. All right, that's all I have for you for today.